Okay, picture this. It is 2:00 a.m. The house is dead silent. You walk into the bathroom half asleep, you sit down and shift. The whole toilet wobbles underneath you. It's got that, that unsettling rocking chair feeling. Maybe there's a little squish sound.
Oh, that is the stuff of homeowner nightmares right there.
And maybe you catch a whiff of something that is definitely not lavender potpourri.
Without a doubt. That feeling of instability is just, it's visceral. It triggers a primal something is wrong alarm in your brain because, fixtures anchored to the earth shouldn't move.
Exactly. And I think for most people, the instinct is to grab a wrench and just crank down on those bolts at the base and think, it's loose, I'll just tighten it.
Right.
But as we found out in the research for today's deep dive, that is often the exact moment you turn a minor annoyance into a catastrophe. You hear that sickening crack.
Yep. The porcelain crack.
Yeah.
And now you've gone from a wobble to a full replacement job. Because usually the wobble isn't the disease, it's just the fever.
It's just a symptom.
Exactly. It's a symptom. And if you just treat the symptom by tightening the bolts, the real problem, which is usually deep in the floor structure, just keeps getting worse.
So today we are doing a deep dive into exactly that scenario. But we aren't just complaining about plumbing or telling you how to use a plunger.
No.
We are looking at a very specific, almost MacGyver-style architectural hack for when the problem is literally built into the floor of your house. We've got a stack of material here from a show called Plumbing Pro Tips, a conversation with a veteran Texas plumber named Claude Taylor.
And what I love about this source is it takes something so mundane, a toilet flange, and it turns it into this fascinating engineering challenge.
Right.
It addresses a universal problem.
Right.
What happens when the connection between your toilet and the sewer system is sitting way, way too low?
And the mission today is to walk you through a solution that can save you literally thousands of dollars in demolition. We're talking about fixing a broken or shallow flange without ripping up your brand new bathroom floor.
All for what, about $25 in PVC parts?
Something like that. It's the difference between a temporary Band-Aid like stacking 3 wax rings on top of each other and just praying.
And praying hard.
And a permanent structural solution. So let's unpack the context. Why do toilets even wobble in the first place? Our source, Claude, points to a really specific issue with slab foundations.
Right, the slab foundation is key. In warmer climates, like Texas, where he's from, you don't have a crawl space. You can't just get under the house. The plumbing is entombed in concrete.
So when the house is built, the plumbers set that flange, that plastic ring, so it's perfectly flush with the concrete.
Perfect, for a while. But then, 20 years later, styles change. The homeowner decides, I hate this old linoleum, or I want some of that new vinyl plank flooring.
And they put it right on top of the old floor.
Exactly. To save money on demo, we call it the flooring sandwich.
The flooring sandwich. I love that term. It sounds delicious, but I'm guessing it's a recipe for disaster.
For the plumbing geometry, it's terrible. Think about it. You've just raised your floor level by a quarter inch, half an inch, sometimes more. But the pipe in the ground?
Hasn't moved. It's in concrete.
It's encased. So now that flange, which is supposed to be level with your floor, is sitting at the bottom of a hole. It's an inch, maybe 2 inches below your new tile.
And that is the gap.
That gap is the enemy.
Yeah.
A standard wax ring is not designed to bridge a 2-inch canyon. It can't make a seal. So you get sewer gas leaking out. That's the smell.
And water seeping out every time you flush.
Right. And that rots your subfloor. And because the toilet is basically floating on this unstable stack of wax, it wobbles.
Now, the source mentions that most people's first move is to go to the hardware store for a taller flange. Why is that usually a dead end?
They call it the retail failure. You go to the big box store, you ask for an extra long flange. First, they're often out of stock because it's such a common problem.
Right.
But even if you find one, it's a generic size. It might not fit your pipe quite right. It's often too loose, or the plastic is just cheap. It's not a precision part.
So you're stuck. You've got this wobbly toilet, a gap in the floor, and the store doesn't have the part you need.
Which is where the custom extension hack comes in. This is the core of our deep dive. The idea is instead of hunting for a part that might not exist, you just build it yourself.
You fabricate it. It shifts the mindset from consumer to builder.
Exactly. You use standard, off-the-shelf PVC parts to create a custom long neck extension that reaches exactly where you need it to. You're basically telescoping the drain upwards to meet the new floor.
Okay, let's break down the shopping list. I'm heading to Home Depot. What am I putting in my cart?
You need 3 main PVC parts, and the specifics really matter here. First, a 4x3 PVC closet flange. But and this is critical, it has to be the inside fit style.
Inside fit. Let's clarify that. What does
Oh.
that actually mean?
A standard flange goes over a 3-inch pipe, but you can't get to the outside of your pipe, it's in the floor. An inside fit has a spigot on the bottom that's designed to slide inside the existing pipe.
Ah, okay. That's crucial. You're extending it from the inside out.
Precisely. Next, you need a standard 3-inch PVC coupling. It's just a straight connector piece.
Simple enough.
And finally, a little scrap piece of 3-inch PVC pipe. Probably only need a few inches of it, but you might have to buy a 2-foot section.
So a flange, a coupling, and a short pipe. It sounds like we're building a little periscope.
That's a good way to think about it. Yeah, a rigid extension. And of course, you need the chemicals to bond it all. Purple PVC primer and medium body cement.
And tools. A saw for the PVC, and the source was really emphatic about safety gear. Gloves, ventilation.
Oh, absolutely. That PVC cement.
Mm-hmm.
The fumes are no joke. They're heavy solvents. If you do this in a tiny closed-off bathroom, you're going to get lightheaded fast. Do the gluing outside if you can.
Good advice.
Ah.
Okay, we have our parts. We have our wobbly toilet. Let's walk through phase 1. Prep and demolition. First move.
Safety. Always. Shut off the water at the little valve behind the toilet.
Yeah.
And don't just turn it, verify it. Flush the toilet, make sure the tank doesn't refill.
Because sometimes those old valves don't fully close.
All the time, they get calcified. So water's off, toilet's drained, you unbolt it, lift it off, and then there's a pro tip that the source mentions.
The rag trick.
Yes. It sounds so simple, but it's vital. The second that toilet comes off the floor, you stuff an old rag into that open drain hole.
Is that just for the smell?
That's the main reason, yeah. Sewer gas can be dangerous, it can even be flammable, but it also stops you from dropping a tool down the drain.
Oh, man. I hadn't even thought of that.
If you drop a wrench or a bolt down a 4-inch sewer pipe, you have just turned a $25 repair into a $500 snake job. A mistake you only make once.
Okay, rag is in. We scrape off all the old nasty wax. Now we have to look down that hole and make a decision right about the pipe material.
Correct. This hack we're talking about is strictly for PVC drains. If you look down and you see black, rusty metal, that's cast iron. Stop. This whole glue method will not work.
You can't glue plastic to iron, so what would you do then?
It's a different approach. You'd use a rubber coupling, something called a Fernco, or a more traditional lead seal. But let's assume you see white plastic PVC. You're greenlit for this hack.
Now, often the old flange is still there. Maybe it's broken or just too low. We have to get rid of it.
Yeah, you have to cut it out. Take a saw and cut it flush with the top of the pipe. The key here is precision. You're doing surgery, not demolition. You don't want to cut into the main drain pipe.
Just a clean slate. Okay, phase 2. Fabrication. We're building our custom part.
Yes, the fun part. But there's a crucial modification you have to make before you glue anything. That new flange you bought. The bottom part that slides in usually has these little ridges on it.
Yeah, to help it grip the inside of a pipe.
Yeah, exactly. But in our case, we need it to fit smoothly into that 3-inch coupling. Those ridges will get in the way. So you have to take a file, some sandpaper, and sand them off. Make it smooth.
Why is that so important?
Because you want a smooth, tight fit into the coupling. You test it dry. If you have to hammer it to get it in, you need to sand it more. Snug, but movable.
Okay, smooth fit achieved. Now the math. Measuring the gap. This seems like the part where you could really mess things up.
Measure twice, glue once. It's the golden rule. You lay a straight edge, like a ruler, across your finished floor, over the hole. Then you measure down from the straight edge to the top of the drain pipe.
And that's the number. That's the length we need to build.
That's your target. And you want the new flange to sit flush with the floor, or maybe 1/8 of an inch above it, never ever below.
So you cut your little scrap piece of PVC to make up that difference, accounting for the height of the coupling and the flange.
Correct. It's basic subtraction. Now comes the speed run, the gluing. The source says you have a really tight time limit.
Why the rush?
PVC cement isn't glue, it's a solvent weld. It chemically melts the plastic to fuse it, and it starts setting in about 10 to 15 seconds. You do not have time to hesitate.
Okay, high pressure, what's the sequence? We've got our 3 pieces ready.
You start with the purple primer. It's messy, it stains everything, so be careful. Prime all the surfaces that will touch, the outside of the pipe, the inside of the coupling, the flange spigot.
Then the cement.
Right, cement on the scrap pipe and one end of the coupling. Push them together. Immediately, cement on the flange spigot and the other end of the coupling. Push that in.
And that's it. Just push.
Not quite. The source mentions the twist. When you push the pieces together, give them a quarter turn. This spreads the glue evenly, gets rid of any air bubbles where a leak could start, and then, this is vital, you hold it. Squeeze it together with both hands for a full 30 seconds. The plastic actually tries to push itself apart as it cures.
No way.
Yeah.
If you let go too soon, it might pop out just a little bit, and suddenly your perfect measurement is ruined, so you hold it until it grabs.
That is a detail I would 100% miss.
Okay, so now we have our custom-made long neck flange.
Your Frankenstein part.
Oh.
And it's perfectly sized for your bathroom.
So phase 3, installation. We go back to the bathroom, pull the rag out. What now?
Dry fit it first. Slide the whole assembly into that 4-inch drain in the floor. Because you built this extension, it should go down deep 2 to 4 inches into the main pipe.
Which gives it a lot more stability.
A ton more. It's not just sitting on top like a hat. It's anchored deep in the throat of the system. Then, if it fits perfectly flush, you can put a thin bead of cement on the outside or just rely on a friction fit. The real strength comes from screwing it to the floor.
A masonry screws.
Yes. You absolutely must screw the flange to the subfloor. If it's concrete, you use Tapcons. If you skip this the first time someone sits down and shifts their weight, the whole thing could lift. The seal breaks, you're back to square one.
You're making that flange part of the house's foundation, essentially. It becomes immovable. And there was another great tip in there about the closet bolts, the ones that hold the toilet down, the bolt trick.
Oh, this is a lifesaver because those things are so frustrating. They always fall over or spin when you're trying to lower the toilet on.
Infuriating. You're holding a 50-pound porcelain bowl, trying to line up 2 holes you can't see, and the bolts are flopping around like they're tired.
So what's the trick?
It's so simple. You put a second set of nuts and washers on the bolts before you put the toilet on. You tighten them down against the flange itself. It locks them in place, perfectly vertical. They won't spin. They won't fall.
That's brilliant. That turns a 2-person wrestling match into an easy 1-person job.
Total game changer.
Okay, flange is rock solid. Bolts are standing at attention. Time for the finale, seating the toilet.
Right, the final seal. You can use a standard wax ring, or the source mentioned that waxless gaskets are great for this. They're made of rubber or foam.
Why are they better?
They're more forgiving. If you miss the alignment and have to lift the toilet back up, a wax ring is ruined. You have to scrape it off, buy a new one. A rubber gasket just pops back into shape. It gives you a second chance.
That's good to know. So we lower the toilet, we hit the bolts perfectly. Now we tighten the nuts on top, and this is where people can break things.
It's the lug nut principle. Don't just crank one side down, tighten left a little, then the right a little, back and forth so it comes down evenly.
And how tight is too tight?
The rule of thumb is snug plus a quarter turn. That's it. You want it tight, but porcelain has 0 flex. If you hear a crunch, it's too late. You've cracked the base.
High stakes right at the very end. Okay, toilet's down, not wobbling, we're almost done, but there's the caulking controversy.
Yes. Building code requires you to caulk around the base for sanitation, to keep grime from getting underneath. But a lot of people are afraid to do it.
Because if it leaks, the caulk traps the water, and you don't know your floor is rotting out.
Exactly. The fear is a hidden leak. So the source gives the perfect compromise. Caulk a nice thin bead around the back and the sides of the toilet.
Right.
But you leave the front open. Leave a 1 or 2 inch gap in the caulk right at the very front.
The leak detector.
That's it. If the seal ever fails, the water has one place to go, out the front onto the floor where you will see it immediately. You'll get wet socks.
And wet socks are gross.
They are, but wet socks are a warning system. They tell you there's a problem today before it causes thousands in damage over 5 years. I'll take wet socks over a structural remodel any day.
So let's just recap. We've gone from a rocking, smelly nightmare to, what did the source call it? A bomb-proof installation?
It really is. By extending that flange deep into the pipe and screwing it to the slab, you've made it better than new. It's not relying on a thick, squishy stack of wax. It's structural engineering.
And you did it with scraps from the hardware store. It just shows the value of that kind of trade knowledge. You know, it's not just turning a wrench, it's understanding the physics and improvising.
Yeah. That's the definition of expertise in the trades. Looking at a situation where the standard part doesn't work and knowing the materials well enough to fabricate a solution that's safe and permanent.
It makes you look at your house a little differently. What else is just held together by a Band-Aid?
Well, that connects to the bigger picture, doesn't it? We tolerate these little issues in our homes, the wobble, the slight smell, but usually those small symptoms are telling us about a structural failure deep down.
So here's our final thought for you today. Go check your bathroom. Seriously. Walk in there, grab the toilet bowl gently and just give it a little nudge. Is it rock solid?
Or is there a little bit of play? And if there is, ask yourself, am I just going to tighten those bolts again and hope for the best? Or am I ready to see what's really going on and fix it for good?
Because now you know the real fix might just be a little bit of PVC and some ingenuity. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next one. Stay dry out there.